Jeka Saragih will begin his journey on the UFC stage on November 18, 2023. The MMA athlete from Simalungun has been waiting for the Brazilian fighter, Lucas Alexander, at UFC Apex, Las Vegas, USA. Alex is a substitute opponent. His name came up after two previous opponents withdrew. Not like Jack. Alexander is not a newcomer to the UFC scene. At least the BBJ black belt holder has appeared twice with a record of 1 win and 1 loss. Lucas Alexander, 1-1 UFC record. Lost via necklock and won via unanimous decision. Yeah, he's an interesting opponent for Jeka, said Marc Fiore, Jeka Saragih's trainer in San Diego. I have some ideas for this match, he said in a post on Instagram. Jeka's other coach, Jack Buracker, is also the same. He considered Alexander not just any opponent. He's Brazilian. He's a black belt in Jiu Jitsu and he's also good at striking, Jack said. Jeka was originally scheduled to fight Jesse Butler at featherweight. However, the fighter from the United States withdrew due to injury. The same steps were also taken by the next potential opponent, namely Charlie, the Cannibal, Campbell. He also withdrew from the duel against Jeka. The Instagram account, Mola Sport then announced Jeka Saragih's new opponent. Breaking news. Jeka Saragih's new opponent on November 18 has been confirmed. The Indonesian star will make his UFC debut against Lucas, the Lion, Alexander at UFC Apex. Save the date. Wrote Mola Sport. Alexander is a fighter from Brazil. The 28-year-old man has a match record of 8-3-0. Jeka is the first Indonesian MMA athlete to receive a contract from the UFC. He appeared on the grandest stage for mixed martial arts fighters through Road to UFC Season 1. Even though he lost in the final round, Jeka, who performed impressively, still received a contract from the UFC. Different from previous fights, Jeka will face Alexander in the featherweight class. Jeka hopes that Alex will not back down again like the previous two potential opponents. I'm ready to compete. I've been waiting for this for quite a long time. I hope that my opponent was waiting for this match, but it was postponed and postponed. I hope that this time my opponent doesn't back out again. Not like Jack. Alex has appeared twice at UFC Fight Night. On the first occasion, Alex lost in the first round via neck lock against Joanderson Brito, the 15th of October 2022. Meanwhile, in the second match, Alex managed to beat Steven Peterson on March 25, 2023. Jeka in a conversation with Liputan6.com admitted that he didn't want to be picky about his opponents. It's just that he wanted to meet an opponent who liked stand-up fighting. However, Jeka had no other choice. Because for now, the potential opponents he will face are completely under the authority of the UFC. In my opinion, I was asked to choose, maybe a stand-up opponent, even though I never choose opponents because MMA is all equal. Up can be down, it can be. So whatever the opponent is, just face it, he said. Martial arts fans in Indonesia have been waiting for Jeka Saragih's UFC debut. Jeka is the first Indonesian to be contracted by the UFC. After officially being contracted by the UFC, Jeka immediately underwent intensive training in San Diego, United States. All of Jeka's needs in the United States are covered by Mola, who holds the UFC broadcast rights in Indonesia until 2029. Meanwhile, Jeka's debut at the UFC event can be watched by MMA fans in Indonesia for free. Mola, who holds the UFC broadcast rights in Indonesia, ensures that Jeka Saragih's fight will be able to be watched without needing a subscription. You're welcome, like Road to UFC. He will fight on Fight Night. Every fight night we usually show it for free, we don't include paid shows, said Mola boss Marwan Suwarso during an interview with Liputan6.com earlier this week. In fact, Mola hopes that Jeka Saragih's UFC fight can be shared on local television so that more people can watch it. Our hope is that every time an Indonesian fighter fights, we want to broadcast it on our partner's national television. So that it will be even more popular, continued Marwan.